Hi guys, welcome back to Nyx Reads. Today I'm back with one of my single short book reviews, and today we're talking about KAIROS by Jenny Erpenbeck. This won the 2024 International Booker Prize, and the translation to English from German was done by Michael Hoffmann. This is the story of two lovers through the ruins of their relationship, and all of this is happening in East Berlin in the 80s. My final rating for this book was 3.5 out of 5 stars. Needless to say, this is not going to be a favorite book of mine, and it was not a perfect read, but I did find it compelling and I liked it more than I anticipated. Let me know in the comments down below if you're watching this because you've already read it and you can't quite make up your mind on it, and that's why you're checking what other people think, or maybe you're just watching this review because you're interested in the title. The central storyline is about 19-year-old Katharina, who by chance meets 53-year-old Hans. There's a 34-year age gap between them, which I think says a lot already about what's to come. And they start this whirlwind relationship. It's an affair because Hans is married with a teenage child, and this is not even his first affair. He's had many before. It starts out pretty ambiguous and it evolves into this extremely toxic relationship between these two. The beginning of the book takes place in 1986, so all of this is happening against the backdrop of East Berlin, East Germany, the GDR. While I was reading this, I had this moment where I was so immersed in this terrible relationship, and I was asking myself, why am I reading about anything else about the history of this city if what I'm interested in is this relationship? Why can't the story exist without it taking place in the GDR? Where I landed on in the end is the story is about disillusionment. So it is about disillusionment within this relationship, especially on Katharina's side, because she is definitely being manipulated and hurt and gaslit by Hans a lot. Throughout the book, I was asking myself, is she going to be able to step out of this abusive relationship? As you can probably imagine, it is not easy. There's a lot of times where you could think, why doesn't she just break up with him? This is just not a healthy relationship. But he has his devices, and the way he talks to her manipulates her in making her stay, and she does love him. So we have the characters being disillusioned by their relationship, but we also have the disillusionment of the characters with the city they live in. It does beg the question, are they disillusioned with East Berlin or West Germany? If you look at the reviews on this book, for example on Goodreads, you will see that the reviews are mixed. One of the main reasons is that this book is heavy with intertextuality. The story is stuffed with references to other literature, to poets, to music pieces, to art. I would say it is up to the individual reader to decide if this is enriching to your reading experience, or if you feel like that this creates a wall between you, the reader, and the core of the story. For me, it was definitely more the latter. It is a personal preference. I don't particularly love when I'm reading a book, I'm trying to immerse myself in it, and there's just so many references or one continuous one to something that I don't necessarily know about, and I feel like it kind of takes me away from the story. I feel like I am missing out on something. I will say that nowadays it's obviously a bit different because we all have a smartphone, most of us, and you can just go and look up the references as you're reading. But to me, I made the choice at some point to stop doing that just because there were so many and I didn't want to interrupt my reading at all times, so I just kind of let them wash over me. But that is a choice that I made for my reading. The writing in this book is very interesting. When I first read the introduction, I realized there's no quotation marks. I was close to DNFing because I really do not like that at all. But as I kept reading, I realized, okay, this is set in the present tense and there are dialogues in here, but they're in indirect speech. The present tense and the writing style is definitely a choice. It lends itself to be extremely observational. So while you're following along what is happening with Katharina and Hans, you're also seeing a lot of what is happening around them. There's a lot of descriptions of their surroundings, what they're wearing, what they're eating, the restaurants they're frequenting. This is an interesting mix because while we have the intertextuality, especially through Hans, he definitely has this air of pretentiousness to him that's kind of taking us a bit farther away from the couple, but then these observational remarks plus the very intimate details of their relationship. Sometimes we're basically in the bedroom or in the bed with them. it then creates this closeness. To me, it read like this back and forth between intimacy and distance. We really only have the two main characters in the story. So Katarina, when we meet her, she's 19 years old and she doesn't know quite what to do with her life. She's going through internships, she's thinking about going to university. And while she might be a consenting adult, the power imbalance is very clear in the story. The relationship that she has with her friends and family is very interesting because she's not hiding this affair from them. They know that Hans is married. They know that she is in this situationship, and they give sometimes, or I would say more so, not so helpful advice. And it was surprising to me that they all kind of reacted in the way that they reacted. She suffers a lot. There are so many moments in this book where you just want to take her by the shoulders and shake her and tell her to wake up and get out of this. While I definitely interpreted it as her being the victim of this abusive relationship, she's not a perfect angel character either. And I think that is what makes this story and these two characters interesting, because we only ever see her when she is with Hans. We don't really know her before. We don't know if before she met Hans she had this blossoming relationship with her friends and family, because while she was with Hans, she's being quite cut off, and that can be the result of this isolation. If Hans has this air of pretentiousness and being a predator, there's definitely this air of naivete about Katarina. She's only ever lived in East Berlin, so when she has the chance to go out and visit relatives, let's say in Cologne, which is in West Germany, she goes around with this very interesting lens of, wow, this is very capitalistic. There are homeless people out here. Is this really the better thing? Is this what we're supposed to want to have? Hans, I don't really see how he would have any redeeming qualities. To me, he is just a terrible character, a terrible person, and a very questionable one too, because while we are in East Berlin, he seems to have all the luxuries. He seems to have, you know, all the money, the house, and he can frequently also go out to eat at restaurants. There's definitely the side of him that looks like he is benefiting from where he is and the system and this divide between Germany. Both of them also are very ritualistic. There's a lot of repetition around the anniversary that they're celebrating, and sometimes ritualistic to just suffer. In the end, I thought that this was more captivating than I thought it would be, but for me it was definitely the parts about their relationship, how it develops, how it derails, that really immersed me. I didn't love the intertextuality, but maybe this is one of the reasons why this won the Booker Prize, because it lends itself to be analyzed to no end if you wanted to. This take on the GDR is also unique to me. It's the first time I read from characters' perspective that seem to be okay with where they live and the circumstances that they are in. I wouldn't say that it glorifies the East, but there are definitely some glimpses on the West that put the West in a more negative and questionable light. But then there's also hints at maybe nothing is as it seems, because in some parts of the story, Katarina is thinking about her friends that apparently moved to West Germany, but then she never hears about them ever again. I do agree with the critics saying that this is not an easy read. It is challenging, but it is your choice, I think, if you pick this up and you look up every reference, or if you just let it be the white noise in the background of the story. If you did already read the story, why do you think Erpenbeck chose KAIROS as the title of this book? Is it because it was all because of a chance encounter that Hans and Katarina met? So these were my spoiler-free thoughts on KAIROS. If you do want to discuss the ending and what happens to the characters in the end and what is revealed, then you can go ahead and write that in the comment section down below. I'm happy to discuss it. Just make sure that you write spoiler at the top of your comment so other people can just ignore it. I'm very interested to hear what you thought about this book, or if you're planning to pick this book up. Please feel free to subscribe if you love watching bookish content, and give this video a thumbs up if you love seeing these kind of single book reviews now and again. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.